Guys are doing a great thing. It's such an uncomfortable topic to talk about, especially for a guy, young guys in their early 20s. And, I'm glad that, I could tune in and, listen to you guys.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the broadcast. Excuse me, 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. It is great to be alive, but it's great to be here live on the broadcast. Joe and I were just talking about today, actually yesterday being my 31st anniversary of popping my first finasteride pill. Yay. But now that I think about it, it might actually be my 32nd. But I am going to be 61. So, sorry for the F up. But when I think about it, I think it's the 32nd. But whatever. It's a long time.
It is. It is a long time.
It's pretty interesting that I've been on the drug for so long, but it's also kind of sad that 31 years ago yesterday, while this drug had still not been approved for hair loss, it was still like, wait a second, there's a drug that could actually stop or slow the progression of hair loss? I wonder what's going to happen in 5 years.
You've been taking finasteride longer than most of our audience has been alive.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
But my whole thought process was, what's going to happen in 5 years? And then a very short time after I started taking finasteride when I wrote my book and then got on the radio. And the very first radio show were guys calling in talking about hair multiplication, cloning, stuff that they were reading on alt.baldspot and other kind of forums in their infancy. And we were talking about Dr. Go and his hair multiplication. And in my view, I was like, this is going to be fun for a few years. I'm going to sell a shitload of books. I'm going to make money doing the radio show, and then I'm done because this thing's going to be over. I'm going to have access to whatever's coming down the pike, probably before most people, and then I'm out of here. And here we are, 30 years later. Same shit.
Different decade.
Different
century.
And all these young kids think that this is something new, or now, or in the last 15 years, it's become somehow something like super dangerous. Like, oh my God, you're risking life and limb to save your hair.
And something like RU is suddenly effective.
It's not only suddenly effective, it's been repackaged and repurposed, I don't know, every 4 or 5 years. And now somehow you can buy these experimental products on Amazon. And there's never been a single truly studied product that has ever been on the gray market. The black market, the gray market are now the mainstream market. They don't exist. There were 2 companies at the time who were doing clinical trials. One company acquired the other company, ended up in Rousseau Pharmaceuticals in France, and they dropped the project. They dropped the project right after I wrote The Bald Truth. So I wrote about it in The Bald Truth. And my warnings on alt.baldspot, every place else, do not get this bathtub brew. You have no idea where it's coming from. You have no idea if it's going to be effective, it's going to be harmful. You have no idea of the real molecular structure, how it's being... Unbelievable.
I hate when that happens.
The molecular structure of it, where it's being manufactured, if it's being manufactured in someone's basement or China, they were just, for a long time, they were just basically giving the components of it, the powder. And you were given instructions on how to mix it in your bathtub or your sink or whatever. That was the reality of RU5841. And what do you think has changed? A couple of manufacturers decided to, get these raw materials, put it together. Somehow they're able to sell it on Amazon. There's not a single case study. There's not a single human being, and I've been doing this for a long time, and so has Joe, that has ever not only called the program, been seen in clinic or that's online that has ever had any long-term significant success with RU58841. Period. Does not exist. If there's anybody out there that's claiming to have any positive results, it's either very short-lived or it's a complete placebo.
You know, one of the big things about RU that really gave me pause is the fact that because there's no legitimate mainstream manufacturer of it, it's like, okay, best case scenario, assume it does do something. How long can you reliably get it from the same resource?
Of course. You know why? People are desperate, and sadly, there's a large percentage of people who are idiots. There's smart, desperate people, and then there's a lot of idiots.
And then there's everyone else. Yeah.
P.T. Barnum's he coined it perfectly. There's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah.
There's a guy online who sells RU58841. He seems like a very nice guy on his Instagram. He once commented on something that I said about it, but he didn't say that I was incorrect. You know, this is the reality. Do you not think that if it worked, I mean, I'd be all over it. All over it.
Everyone would be.
I'd be like, let me see if I could fix this thinning spot without paint. Maybe, you know, shore up my hairline so that for all you idiots who keep asking me to show it because now I'm starting to show my bald spot, that's not enough. It's not enough.
Well, if you're really serious about documentation, you'd shave your head.
I think you told me that for real once. But yeah, it's like, I don't give a shit about documentation. Here's the thing. This is my story. I've lived it. But my value to you is the fact that I know this industry inside and out, where all the bodies are buried, and I'm in a position, and so is Joe, we could afford to tell the truth. I think Joe can. I'm not really sure. I don't ask about his finances. But I know that I could afford to tell the truth.
What am I doing here?
That's
I'm
true.
the truth.
Dude.
I'm telling the truth. But
I don't want to give it away, but I mean, you have a pretty nice life. I'm just saying.
It doesn't suck.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's funny you mentioned the documentation. I don't need document, which is true. But in a different context, when we were talking about this before the show, it didn't hit me until you said it. But I realized, like, we have two firsts or two superlatives here. With me, I'm the most documented hair transplant patient in the world.
That's true.
With you, you're actually the most documented hair loss educator in the world.
I almost choked on. I'm the most read author on the subject of the prevention and treatment of hair loss in the world.
And I'm the most this and I'm the most that.
Just
okay, yeah, we know that.
You know, listen, if you're going to pimp me out, get it straight. So these kids get it.
Well, I wasn't not getting it straight. I just wasn't doing the whole story. You're okay. Let's cover all of it. Okay, but no, seriously, because you've been on the air in some form or the other since since Barney Rubble was young.
June of 1998.
98, yeah. In some format, be it. I mean, not so much the early years because you weren't video. It was just terrestrial radio.
It was audio, and that was the best. I miss it so much, man.
Well, when did you start doing the video?
I started to do some video in Westwood One Studios around 2007. I had a camera just a webcam in the studio, streaming on Ustream and Stickam.
God, Ustream, Stickam. I remember that. I remember those days. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, as it stands, you're the most documented online as far as being a hair loss sufferer and educating about.
But I'll also tell you this, which you may not remember. Back in the day, and this was in 1998, I know that there's a lot of people who are, the first podcasters or the first internet broadcasters, and it's all out there. But here's the reality. And not that I did anything with it. So I dropped the ball on that. So, I understand why I'm not in that history book. 1998, Feral Man from the old Hair Loss Help had a suggestion that I embed a recording of the program on my website, which I didn't even have a website. It was part of the old regrowth.com website. Guy gave me a page. Yeah. And then I think Farrell set up a page for me. So basically just a landing page with my books. So I gave him the recordings that were on cassettes, and he put them online in a downloadable format or a streamable format, I guess, before anyone was doing it. So, Feral Man, kudos to you. I know that you skipped town on the industry. I don't blame you. But so for a long while, I was the first guy who was doing this broadcast on the internet. But all it brought me was trouble. It brought me trouble from the forum owners. It brought me trouble from a guy who started a chat around my show, who then became a forum owner. It brought me trouble from the doctors who I was telling the truth about. So within about 2 years, I decided, you know what, I'm taking this shit down. If you want to catch my program, you got to catch it live. If you want to record it and then send it to Bosley or whoever, you have to take the time to do that yourself. I am not providing you with that access so that people can threaten me with potential lawsuits. And that was it. And it turned me off ever since. That's why I never really did any podcasts. I put a few things up on Apple for walks. People were telling me to, and I was like, I don't even like this. I don't want to do this. Yep. Now, in retrospect, was it a good move for helping people? Probably not. Probably not. Would we have had a huge podcast by now? Yes, 100%. But, it's not too late. And it saved me a lot of agita and anxiety and sleepless nights that I would have had to deal with, because I had plenty at the early part of my career until I learned how to deal with it. From all these animals out there who were somehow trying to get the goods on me. So that's the history.
I wonder how old Farrell is doing. I remember after he had disappeared.
Talk about someone disappointing me in life.
But I know. Ahead. But he, I forgot what the situation was, but I talked to him after everything fell apart as far as his forum. And I can't remember what it was about. But there was something I said triggered him, and he went right back into the old paranoia.
Nervous Nelly.
Everyone's out to get me. There's some sort of underlying motive for what I'm talking about. I completely forgot. I have no idea what I was talking to him about.
I was shocked, actually, because he was the first person I told about Bald Truth Talk, which, by the way, guys, don't go to the forums. I'm going to get, the fact that I even keep that thing up is ridiculous. But I told him about Bald Truth Talk. I told him what was happening, and he was the first person in the industry I invited to be a part of it. I said, set up a profile, you could promote hair loss help, all that stuff. But we had to do this. And this was at a time when just a really bad human being, an evil human being, was just trying to destroy him and his forum. Mm-hmm. This guy's tried to destroy everybody in the industry. But whatever.
Including me. Yeah.
Including you. I was definitely his major target, but there was nothing that could be done with me. I think he realized that.
Well, my wrath came well after yours.
Yeah. But you saw mine was that was some heavy shit. And sadly, his people that are still working for him kind of carry on that, not that badly, but kind of carry on that narrative that this very unwell guy created.
Pretty mild by comparison.
Oh,
but
100%.
still.
No, I mean, it's a totally different situation now.
Yeah.
But to get back to Feral Man, I don't know. I mean, I thought we were friends. And I explained the situation to him, and he felt that I was somehow competing against him. And
Well,
that
he thought you were friends too until you decided to stab him in the back.
Right, apparently. And what's funny about that is, and this is the true history of it all for anyone who's, and there's some guys who are listening have been around forever. He may or may not remember this, but I originally had the Bald Truth forum on the Bald Truth site. And I was like, this is a real pain in the ass. I don't want this. Even back then. This is before. And that was right when the other forum started. I'm like, I don't want this. And I told Feral that, we can combine forces. You could use that forum if you want, or you can start your own. And we were talking about things, and he didn't know what to name his forum. I said, what about Hair Loss Help? Boom.
Yeah.
And that's a true story. Now, another true story about Feral that no one really knows, and I try to tell it, but I think that he thinks that I don't, is that it was his forum that really launched FUE. And it was because of my conversation with Ray Woods, and then my conversation with him. He sent his brother, who was living in Australia at the time, to visit Ray to see how legitimate this guy was. Now, I don't know what kind of intel he actually got. He didn't really need that much, but he made that effort. But what he did do was provide a platform for these guys who were willing to do FUE, and he provided a big platform for Ray Woods. No one else was willing to do that. So, he definitely belongs in the history books when it comes to FUE.
I do remember when he tried to set up a payment system for me to even participate on his forum when I went independent.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
He wanted me to pay to post on his forum.
He wasn't what I would consider to be a very shrewd business person.
He wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed.
But he tried, and I think that he was basically a good guy that really he was always a little paranoid, but became ultra paranoid. I was very sad and disappointed at his reaction. And he wrote something publicly on the new forum, Bald Truth Talk, that was just ridiculous. I'm like, brother, why couldn't you just make that private to me? He discussed his paranoia and all. I mean, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And basically, I told him to go fuck himself. And here we are.
Good stuff.
But it's interesting.
In other news,
it's interesting history. Just to say, I've never held any ill will towards this guy.
No, like if anything, and I don't say this in a condescending way, but I pity
You felt
the guy.
sorry for him.
Yeah, I felt sorry for him. I still feel sorry for him because he had Hair Loss Help was a very, very trafficked.
That was the forum, brother. That was it.
It was the place for drama if you wanted.
Yeah.
If you want.
Why do you think the other guy was actively trying to destroy him?
Yeah, no, of course. It was stealing. I can't say it was stealing traffic because, I mean, when you think about it, it's like, okay, even if there's like three forums and they all get a lot of traffic, it's like, so does that mean that if you're visiting one forum, you're not going to visit all of them? Because everyone that was on these forums was going everywhere.
I could never grasp this other person's mentality. It was a complete famine mentality. He could not deal with sharing. I mean, he couldn't. He there's no sense of camaraderie. There's no sense of community. It was like you are in this guy's crosshairs and you are the devil because you are, in his mind, you were trying to take away what he is doing. And it couldn't be further from the truth. It was really sick.
It was.
And at one point, I'm like, okay, against common law's better judgment and some other people in the industry, I was like, all right, this guy reached out. He put out the olive branch. He wanted to work together. We decided to try to figure something out. Within weeks, it fell apart. Weeks over some sort of bizarre misunderstanding that he saw that wasn't reality. Like there was a link that was missing for whatever reason. It wasn't like, okay.
Yeah, and of course it was intentional. Like if you left a link out or a hyperlink out of some text, it was definitely intentional.
It was to watch the breakdown and the meltdown. It was something to watch, I have to say. But I will state that it really opened my eyes as far as the integrity of the physicians in this field. And the reality is it doesn't matter what the fuck you do. You can kill somebody. As long as these guys get the leads, they're good. And in a way that's, it is what it is. It really highlights that even guys who are attempting to do good work, do they all really have that much integrity? Some do. A handful. Most don't give a shit. But anyway, that's politics. It's an interesting industry, and that's why I tell you guys to stay off the forums. These are all dangerous places. They're completely manipulated. I'm telling you. I stopped Bald Truth Talk because I couldn't deal with the moderation aspect of it. I had a full-time moderator. We had other people involved, and it still was just like constant bullshit. And guys being misled, and companies trying to get in there and act as consumers. And we had to cut off the back end system, the DM system. Everyone was pissed off about because guys were trying to sell hair transplants on there with pseudonyms. That's everything that happens behind the scenes on these forums. I mean, God, guys are so dumb. Anyway. It was a fun rant.
So, just going in a different direction, I'm going to be releasing a video. I was telling Spencer about this earlier, but I found a video today. I was going through some old files, and I found a folder where I have a series of videos I took between 15 and 20 years ago. And this was when when you want to talk about early ideas about video, this is when I had a series that I was putting together. I was actually going to pre-record like 10 or 15 episodes and then
handsome young man
them.
Too, you were. I'll tell you that.
And I was a baby.
You were a baby.
God, I was a baby. And I called it. I saw one edit where I called it hair drive, where I'm driving in my car and I'm talking into my phone about hair loss subjects. It was every morning when I was driving into work. When I worked at Hassett Wong, it was about a 20-minute drive, depending on where I lived at the time. And I'm thinking it because, I'm always thinking about this stuff. And so it was almost like I wouldn't call it therapeutic, but it was kind of therapeutic just to talk about this stuff out loud. And I was talking to my phone about questions I'd get and the answers to the questions. I never aired it. I never uploaded the episodes. I edited one video, and I thought, nah. But I'm glad. But I hung on to them. I didn't delete them. I'm so glad because I look at them now, and what I was saying then is actually still true today, and that's cool. But there's one video, and this was 15 years ago. It was a year after my last, at the time, hair transplant with Dr. Wong in 2010, and I need to put that on my board.
I have it somewhere.
I'm showing what my hair looks like 1 year after that last hair transplant with no product, no hairspray, just a blow dry. And I talk about how I looked in the mirror. I'm like, hey, you know what? It's actually looking pretty full. Maybe I should do an update. And so I pulled out my iPhone 4S. I even mentioned the video. It's an iPhone 4S as if I was so, fucking impressed by it.
Dude, it was cutting edge, brother.
It was cutting edge. And
you had your Lacoste shirt with the collar up.
I'm flopping my hair around to show the fullness. And I'm talking about the illusion of density and how, it's actually not really dense compared to native density, but because all the hairs are terminal, it looks fuller and blah, blah, blah. But I look him. I before when I was getting ready for the show, I washed my hair. I didn't put any hairspray in it. I'm looking in the mirror. I started doing the same thing. It's like, well, I'll be damned. It looks better than it did in 2011, especially when I look at the back. So
The back
I'm going to put
head
it side by side.
I don't even think that the camera does the back of your head justice. I mean, unless it's gotten worse since I saw you in person last. But
it's gotten better.
If you're just walking, like when I saw you, like at the hotel or in Vegas. I mean, if I didn't know you, I would not spot you as a guy who ever had any hair work done. Maybe a guy who has like, normal, not thin hair even, just like, not like super luscious hair, just a normal, non-balding head of hair for a guy your age.
Yeah. And actually, it looks better because when I saw the first time I met you was a year after I shot that video, or maybe 6 months after that video, because I met you in the summer of 2012.
Dude, look at that video, how young we were.
I know,
in my
right?
house.
And
I mean, I look the same, but I'm just kidding.
But I've had more crown work since then because in 2019, Dr. Wong did like 700 grafts in the bottom half of my crown. So it looks fuller now than it did then. But yeah, I'm going to do a side by side or a over and under for a reel to do the comparison. I'm going to do the same movements in sync with the old video and the new video side by side. So I think that'll be kind of a fun video to show that it can last, because all I had
it's kind of like Lucy and Harpo Marx in that. You remember that scene when they're doing that mirror scene?
Yes, yeah, that's good.
Who's going to know that besides us?
The only thing that's different is I did have a little bit of work in the bottom of the crown, but everything else is the same: top, back, everything, except the color, because there's a lot more gray now. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. And then another thing I wanted to say, there's two things I wanted to say before we get into the subject of the day and some phone calls. But last week I was giving Dr. Gary Linkov a hard time. I forgot what the designation was, the prize.
How dare you? You are such a mean girl.
Asshole of the week or something. I'm not sure what it was. But I failed to expound on exactly why. I was talking about how he lifted the video of a repair patient that Spencer and I know. He's all over Instagram and TikTok. His name is Harris. Really good guy. Like, he's such a good kid. And he listened to one of these online consultants that had one hair transplant, and now he's suddenly an expert. And he paid to have a consultation with this guy. This guy sent Harris to some doctor in Turkey, and terrible outcome. So terrible to where he had to go to Dr. Uslan Bisher to have a bunch of punch outs and then some beard hair just after this guy's first surgery. That's how badly he was tapped out in his donor area.
I hate making Harris feel bad about it because none of it was his fault. So
no, I wasn't.
No, I know you're not. But the reality is, I've seen worse. But he was really effed up.
Yeah. He's really, really messed up. And so he's made it a mission to document his recovery from his hair transplant with Dr. Bisher, and he's doing a great, I'm so proud of this kid. He's doing a great job with it, and everything's looking really nice. It's thin as it's supposed to be, but it looks natural now. It's not pluggy. She did a great job on him. But Gary Linkov took one of his older videos, and I think it was before he actually had his repair. And in the video, Harris is talking about how he got off of medications because he couldn't handle the side effects, the depression side effects. And Gary Linkov uses this kid's story as a launch pad to promote his own compounded medications, his topical finasteride and minoxidil, or whatever it is he's selling.
Which, by the way, I told him that I could not be involved in when he brought it up during a conversation. Just saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, for reasons we've talked about before with different brands. But I thought that was really low. Like, you lift this kid, his story, and you make it look like it's one of these critique or stitch reels that you do where you're talking about someone's situation, and then you turn it into an ad for your products to make a buck. And you don't tag this kid. Like, shouldn't he get some of the residuals from that? Like, if you're using him for an ad, to sell your products. So yeah, asshole of the week, justified.
Listen, I am a capitalist, 100%. I see nothing wrong with doing whatever you can within reason, as ethical as possible, and legally to earn a living here in the United States. With that said, I do think that it would be wonderful if physicians would actually take – it's so funny. First do no harm isn't even in the Hippocratic Oath. The fact that everyone says it's the Hippocratic Oath, it's ridiculous. But they do take an oath. And first do no harm is part of that situation. It's not in the Hippocratic Oath, if I remember correctly. But it would be wonderful if these physicians really took that seriously, not just presented themselves as people with integrity or people who are learned or people who might listen, it takes a lot of work to get into medical school. You have to be super motivated at a young age and reasonably intelligent to get the grades to get into medical school, to be able to understand the science, do well, do the math, and everything that it takes. But most of these guys are not geniuses. They may not be suffering with ADD. They may have the ability to concentrate better than, some of the other students. They may just have the aptitude for the subjects that it takes to get in, and even language that to get into a decent medical school, or to get into medical school at all, to get into a pre-med program. But I don't think they really teach ethics broadly in medical school. And I do think that once these guys get out into the wild, a lot of this goes out the window.
Yes.
And I say that not just related to your asshole of the week or month or whoever.
And quick correction, Reich for Order corrected me. It was jerk off of the week. Thank you for that. It was jerk off of the week.
Was it? I thought it was asshole.
No, he's correct. It was jerk off of the week.
Why am I sitting so low? Let's see. Like an LP. I just think that everyone who watches physicians who make themselves influencers online really have to look at all of them with a jaundiced eye. I will say something also that there are two doctors who are not part of the IHRS, never applied to the group, who I think are doing an incredible job online for the most part, providing some really great information that's educational and entertaining that I think has probably helped a lot of people. I don't agree with everything that they say, but I'm not a physician. But it's the two guys from Australia that do the hair loss show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel about those guys, and I can't really speak for their surgical skills. They've never applied to the organization. I did have what's the Indian guy's name? Dr. V. Van. I can't remember his name. Sorry, brother. I am getting old. I'm almost 61. But I did invite him to the Global Hair Loss Summit. He was a faculty member. He gave 2 or 3 great talks and presentations. He's incredibly, I think he's media savvy. He's great on camera. He's very articulate. And I think he presents things to the public really well. He doesn't go, and these guys do not go for the low-hanging fruit, like your jerk-off of the week.
Dr. Vikram Jayaprakash.
Jayaprakash. Sorry, Doc. Jesus. It's not the finasteride people. Trust me.
No.
But I give those guys a lot of credit. I really do. I think that they've done a very good job over the years, and they built, a popular channel. And I don't think they're selling anything, but if they are, whatever I watched, I can't see it. Now, every doctor that gets themselves out there online is selling surgery in some way or another because they're creating influence. I totally understand that. But it's just different. These other guys just go for the low-hanging fruit, especially when they are, these facial plastic surgeons. And there's another thing about these guys. And, Gary or whomever, correct me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, facial plastic surgeons aren't doing the 7-year plastic surgery residency. So they do their own, ENTs, and they do their own residency, and they're real cosmetic surgeons. And people who specialize in facial plastic surgery know how to do noses and chins and all the stuff that's wrapped around the face. But when they refer to themselves as like board certified plastic surgeons, which I've seen, I don't know if your jerk off of the week does that. It's just the whole thing's misleading. Consumers don't know what's going on. They don't know who to believe. And they think that if you have a good personality and if you have a big following, that you are someone to trust. And that is usually not the case. In general, the physicians with the biggest influence online have the least time on tissue, or they're not who they are, who people believe that they are, as far as their surgical skill set.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying doctors shouldn't try to do this, because it's important to get yourselves online. But people have to do their due diligence separate and apart from their channels.
Well, it's a simple formula. Just talk about, education, questions that you get as a professional, and talk about these questions and the answers to those questions, and your channel will grow. That's all it takes.
And speaking of real facial plastic surgeons and people who care about their patients, in my view, Ken Anderson is going to be on the program next week. He's coming to my studio live.
Dr. Ken?
Dr. Ken, yeah.
Live in studio?
Now, I told him, I said, listen, Ken, I broke down my second mic station to essentially build a little gym for myself for my tendon rehab, my old man tendon rehab, which I can't do in the gym because it takes me an hour and a half, and I don't feel like doing that publicly. It's a pain in the ass. I'd rather watch a podcast or whatever while I'm doing it. So I have to basically set up a little chair for him with a mic and some sort of a cool-looking setup. And he's a big dude.
So in other words, don't ghost me.
Yeah.
Don't be a no-show.
He's a big dude, so I got to set something comfortable up for the guy.
Yeah.
And you're going to see basically my home gym in the background. But whatever. I'll make it work.
I'm looking forward to that. He's always fun to have on the show. So
he's a great guest. He's very enthusiastic. I think listeners really like to talk to him.
Yeah, he's engaging.
And we're all very close in age. I think he's your age.
I think he's older than me.
He's like 5 years younger than me.
I think he's in between you and me. That's what we discovered. That's what we determined after probably our 7th whiskey.
No, actually, he's 5 years younger than me.
Okay, so
he's your age.
I guess he's my age.
Yeah.
I also want to, so we can wind this part of the show down. I want to throw a big shout out to Dr. Matt Egan in London. I don't work with him. He's not IHRS. He's not Hair Transplant Mentor, but he is a really good doctor. And the reason why I give him a shout out is because there's a patient I've been dealing with for a few years, off and on, not like on a regular basis, but we had our fair share of conversations on Instagram through DMs. Contacted me about different clinics in Turkey, the basic stuff. The ones that you see and hear about a lot because they pay for the most advertising. He was a fan of the show, and he understood the concept of strip before FUE because he felt like he had potential for aggressive loss in the future. So that's how he focused his search for hair restoration specialist. And Matt Egan, I think I mentioned him to this guy. I may be wrong. I don't know. But long story short, he found Matt Egan, who does perform FUT and FUE. And I hadn't heard from this guy for roughly a year, and I got a message from him a couple of days ago, and he likes to do voice messages. He doesn't like to type. He's a lot like you, actually, in that regard, and me now because I hate typing. And he was telling me,
as I type,
in no uncertain terms that Dr. Matt Egan saved his life.
Wow.
And he went on, he was sending me paragraphs of information about how awesome Dr. Egan is. Not because, yes, because of the result, but because of the way that he took care of him and his mother, who actually came with him to surgery, because she was nervous, and the way that he reassured his mother and just, he was telling me this, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a good guy. He didn't have to do this stuff. The details that this guy shared with me that I won't repeat here, but I just want to give a quick shout out, recognition to Dr. Matt Egan in London. Does good work. I've always noticed his work. I've talked to him in the past. We talked about doing something, but it never panned out, which is fine.
I could tell you something which is interesting. I mean,
But
I think it's
he
important.
deserves this because I thought this guy was going to cry. That's how moved I could tell he was by the way that this guy
you
took care
got to
of him,
give
so.
credit where credit is due. You don't just give credit to people who you present on a website and then ask other people to comment to bring you on board.
Yeah.
What's interesting about Matt Egan is he called me. We spent a lot of time on the telephone. He wanted to apply to the IHS. I told him what it took. He never followed through with an application, which is fine. But in the past, I'd say maybe 15 months or so, we've been getting so many requests for information through the IHS that I say my staff, I don't want to say who it is, has been sending me these things because it's been very consistent. So we had to formulate a response essentially saying that, yeah, the guy looks to be a good doctor. He initially contacted us to apply to the IHS. He still has not followed through with the application, so we really don't have that much information on him. But, we have no complaints through our database, so we tell consumers that. That's it. But it's pretty amazing. He's definitely getting himself out there. I'm not exactly sure. I think he's part of another a marketing type of situation. So I think that's probably when it started. I'm not sure. But they are coming in a lot. I think people should see a doctor like this. It's important that he's a young guy. He's doing strip, or at least he's offering it. I don't know how much strip he's doing.
I don't know how often he's doing it, but to finish up the story, he even suggested to the patient after examining his donor that FUE would be better, and they did wind up having FUE.
Yeah.
But they did prepare for FUT. He had his staff on hand, and then it was a switch over to FUE, which costs less, by the way. With Matt, he charges more for FUT than he does for FUE. Yeah, which is interesting. And they switched over to FUE.
That's starting to become the status quo.
Yeah. So, but yeah, whatever direction they went in, the guy is super happy. He sounded like he was near tears.
That's
and
great.
He's telling me how happy he was. And
you should have him call on the show.
So,
I think that's an important story. Look, to me,
he might be listening because he might be listening. He said he wanted to talk about it, so he might call in. Who knows?
Listen, to me, if there's a good physician out there, if they've never applied to the organization or never followed through, I want people to know. Mm-hmm. That's how we operate.
Yeah.
Most surgeons suck. They suck. Most of what's being offered out there is horrendous. If you could find one guy who just happens not to be a part of the IHS, great.
Yeah. If he delivers, knock yourself out.
But that's how I've always felt, man. These other guys do not feel that way. If you're not paying them, if you're not paying these other people, you're dog shit. And sometimes when you're paying some of these foreign people, you become dog shit anyway.
Oh, yeah.
In the end, it usually bites them in the ass.
They got you wrapped around their finger.
I got to hand it to these guys, though, Not that it's a great thing, but they figured it out for themselves. These physicians are such suckers, man. Anyway, let's see who this is.
All right.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer, Joe, this is Ethan from Nashville. How you guys doing?
Ethan, what's going on, brother?
Ethan, how's it going, man?
Nothing much. Just out for a little walk here in Tennessee. We've got some nice weather going on.
You know,
Nice.
I sometimes think about moving to Nashville, and then I'm like, God, I hate moving though. But you guys have no state income tax.
If you're a live music fan, this is the place to be. And the no state income tax is definitely a pro.
Well, listen, I
What's
like
the
alcohol.
sales tax there now?
Say it again, Joe?
What's the sales tax there now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I want to say it's around like 12, 13%.
Woo!
That's actually pretty high. I mean,
Damn.
that can't be 12,
Yeah,
13% sales tax. I mean, sales tax here in in California is 10%.
Yeah, but you
Okay.
also
Yeah,
have income tax.
It might be a little closer. It might be a little bit closer to that, but I know our sales tax is higher because of the no income tax.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe was right by saying that. But even if it's higher, it's usually around the 7 or 8% mark. Like, say you move to Nevada.
It was around 8% or 8.25% when I lived in Tennessee 30 years ago.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's
I'm
definitely
sure
gone up.
sure it's gone up.
since
Yeah, I'm sure it's inched its way up, but woo, 12%. That's a hit. Wow.
Yeah, I just looked and it's not 9.75 is what we're sitting at here.
Okay.
So I wasn't too
All right.
far off. But
There you go.
I'm looking at
anyway.
Arizona. But anyway, go ahead.
no, I wanted to give you guys a call. I just had my 6-month follow-up with Dr. Nussbaum and his team. I had a hair transplant September 3rd, and we're just at the 6-month mark, and I couldn't be any happier with the results. It looks great already at 6 months.
I'm so happy for
Sweet.
you, brother.
Very good.
And evidently the clinic says at the 6-month mark, it could get anywhere from 20 to 30% better in the next 6 months. So I think that's outstanding for where I'm at currently.
You know what's interesting is, and that's true. It can actually it could become, depending on where you're at. If they're saying in your particular case you've gotten a lot of growth in 6 months, then yeah. But it could be a greater percentage of improvement. But what a lot of the lesser clinics will tell you when you go in for 6 months is you got to give it 18 months. You know?
For sure.
And so
For sure.
you are in a position where you went to the right clinic, you had the right situation with the right staff, you were the right candidate, and at a 6-month mark to be as thrilled as you are, that's great.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised they said 20% more in the next 6 months because
It's usually more like 50%.
I usually
Yeah,
general rule of thumb 50% after 6 months, but still, I mean, it's maybe they're looking at your photos saying, God, you're having such great growth, maybe 20, 30% more, but
And also they may want to
the bulk of your growth has already happened.
under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, Spencer. But I'd be curious to send my photos to either you or Joe to see what you think. I was
That's what I do in the bedroom usually.
Yeah, exactly. A stable Norwood 3, and they did a 2,300 graft FUT strip, and it's a higher hairline, but it looks so damn natural and good. There are just no complaints from it.
Well, I mean, when you say higher, do you mean appropriate? Or, I mean, how old are you again?
Yeah, age appropriate. Yeah, I'm 28.
Yeah, usually by 28, the vast majority of guys have a slightly higher hairline by then. It's more unusual to see a guy with a really low or a kind of an adolescent hairline at 28. So
No,
that's good.
It fits. It's age appropriate, and still have all those grafts in the bank for potentially another strip or FUE down the road to kind of build behind it.
Yeah, and even if, what's interesting is, depending on how you progress, if you wanted it slightly tightened up in the front after a while, if you really did think it was too high, you can have different options. I'm not saying you should do
100%.
that, but I mean, just the fact that you have these options, these other kids your age, you're not a kid, but other guys your age who are going to God knows where, they're not given these options. Those options are taken off the table.
No, they're smoked.
They're smoked. Exactly. What do you kids call it? They're cooked.
They're cooked. They're chopped.
Hey,
They're chopped.
Spencer, I gotta take the camera off me.
I'm going to take the camera off of Joe because he gets nervous when I don't do that. Yeah.
Anyway, no, I'm tempted to, obviously see the full result, give it 15 months. And I mean, later down the road, I might like a few grafts in the temple area, or not the temple area, the temple points and peaks area.
Yeah.
Just to kind of frame the face a little bit more. But I think it's probably smart not to touch the hairline and just keep it the way it is.
Yeah, listen, it probably is. And if you do think that you have some recession in the temples and you want to kind of create just a better framing, it's good to utilize the grafts there. It's a very difficult area to reconstruct, so you're going to the right guy to make that happen. I mean, those grafts have to really be placed very flat. It's almost like creating eyebrows in order to do that correctly. And you see so many shitty temple points being produced these days. But if it's done right, it completely frames the face in a really flattering way.
For sure. No, and I trust him completely. He's a pro. And I didn't know this, but grafts, when they're placed at their angle, they actually rise, or maybe shift is the right word, about 5 to 10 degrees.
They can't
upward or at an angle.
Yeah, I mean, they can shift just from the healing process and the scar tissue, the minor scar tissue that's formed. So
sure,
they can.
Sure.
They
Something
can,
to keep in mind. I mean, you've got to go to a good clinic and do your due diligence. Otherwise, you're going to have,
Well, we don't talk about this
died.
a lot, but I mean, I think it's compared to like being an archer or being a good shot. You really have to kind of look at that horizon and plan for that curve and for that change. And most people don't do that. They don't understand the physiology and how the body, the tissue may constrict slightly. Now, it doesn't happen with every graft, but you have to be prepared for that to happen and kind of, I guess it's called leading it, leading the graft.
Sure.
Hey,
I had a separate question regarding oral minoxidil and the timed release minoxidil that is getting close to hitting the market. I don't think I would ever take the plunge into just regular oral minoxidil because I'm stable. But in the future, when this new timed release oral minoxidil comes about, I'm doing research and I'm just thinking if there's any way to preserve the hair that's already there for the growth cycles, trying to get in front of the loss, or maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I just stick to the Propecia daily regimen and then just wait until I see further loss and then take the plunge into the oral minoxidil.
Well, here's the thing. I'm still holding off on any.
Just watch out for peeling eyelids.
Don't go blind.
I'm holding off on any like low dose oral minoxidil now, and I want to see what actually comes to play with this new sustained release version. Well, this is what's interesting also, which no one's really going to talk about. None of the low dose oral minoxidil that's currently being manufactured was ever actually tested clinically. The only oral minoxidil that was ever tested clinically or studied was the brand name Lonitin. So at least with this new FDA-approved product, we know that this is being not only FDA-approved, but it's going through a long testing phase. So this is going to be the second minoxidil product ever to actually go through clinical trials. So when you get any type of generic drug, these are essentially just supposedly molecular equivalents that don't have to go through the same type of clinical testing. They just prove that it's close, and there's certain variables, but it's close as far as the molecular structure, and then they could just sell it. But they don't have to be tested on humans.
And you have no idea about the dissolution rate or the absorption rate. It's kind of like just shooting in the dark.
100%. Now, people can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's the way that it works. So this would be the second minoxidil product ever to go through like a real clinical trial. So they're going to have much more data on adverse side effects, if it's causing the same type of effluviums, so on and so forth. And it's going to be a lot less guesswork. That would be the only reason that I would take it personally.
And they're going to charge a pretty penny for it. They'll definitely recoup their investment. But I mean, with the price of Propecia in Tennessee for a month's supply at $140, what the hell is another $140 at this point?
Are you kidding me? Absolutely, man. I buy ProScar. I buy 5 milligram tablets direct from the source. People are asking me today because I posted that today's my 31st anniversary. It's actually my 32nd. I thought it was 31 when I made the video. So 32 years I've been on this drug as of today, as of yesterday. And people are asking me if I'm on generic, if I get from Hims. It's crazy. Like, no. I went directly from to the source originally, and why would I change that? So
no need to stick to the good stuff.
Look, these guys are spending $200, $300 a week or more on drinking, and they're worried about, saving money on their meds. It's ridiculous.
Oh no, they're on FanDuel, putting $200-$300 a night on these games. Just save up some money, and then you don't have to go get that 4-drug compounded topical that everybody's chasing after.
Dude, listen, things are going to change soon. I'm telling you, things are going to change soon. My hope is that the other telehealth companies kind of have a come to Jesus moment when they see what's going to happen. Because the reality is anyone who's selling that shit to young consumers really needs to take a second look at things. And I know a couple of guys who I like who are in that business, who are good doctors who, they developed a brand and they feel, in my view, that they have to compete with these other mashup products when they really shouldn't go in that direction. I believe it's a dangerous undertaking. And I think that it really
it's a side hustle. It's a side hustle for them. They're gonna make their low hanging fruit wherever they can.
Well,
regardless of their surgical skills.
It's beyond a side hustle for some of these guys because it's becoming a big business. When you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of customers, I mean, you're talking about big money, real money, where these doctors don't have to be, performing surgery or having, they don't need a practice anymore. I just think that what happens is these companies end up kind of going outside and hiring CEOs and other, business guys to run these companies. And then you're dealing with investors and they get together and are like, okay, well, this is what we need to do to compete. So these guys have these combination products. We have to sell these combination products. And that's just the way it works, man.
It's sad. I'm thinking the FDA will crack down on all of this at some point, but...
Well, they're starting to, at least as far as when you see the ads on podcasts now, these podcasters are now having to go through this whole thing saying that these are not FDA-approved products. These are compounded products. There's no FDA guidance, blah, blah, blah. And it becomes kind of long to advertise compared to the way it used to be. But I still don't think the consumer really understands that or cares.
No. They don't. They just see what they see on social media and take the plunge.
People are stupid. I'm sorry to say that. I don't care. I know some people are going to feel insulted by that, but they're stupid. This is real medication with real consequences, real potential adverse side effects. They are unable to titrate properly on these meds. They have no idea where these medications are coming from, how they're being manufactured, where they're being manufactured. It's a effing mess. And then they go to these telehealth companies that they basically just hire these, these companies that have some idiot doctor online just giving an okay to a form letter, to a questionnaire.
It's crazy. I don't even know how it's possible. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. I just wanted to call in, give a quick update, and give Dr. Nussbaum his flowers. I knew I was in good hands when one of his techs was there since his dad was working in the practice. She had been there for like 30 years. So when she was dissecting the strip, I was like, okay, we're in for a good day here.
Now, she didn't fall asleep on you, did she?
Exactly.
No, she didn't. She was sharp as a tack.
I'm just kidding. No, they have a great.
For an old gal.
They have incredible staff. Aaron's great, and I'm really glad that you're happy, man.
Yeah, good stuff.
Highly recommend to any listeners. So.
All right, brother. Well, good luck. Thank you for the call.
Yep, you got it. Have a good night, guys.
Take care,
Good
Ethan.
night.
Bye-bye.
The old "I don't want to keep you" is code for I gotta go.
I'm done.
I'm done. Stop
I'm done.
talking to me and lecturing me about telehealth companies.
Exactly. Do we have a call on hold?
We do.
Okay. Before we get to the call, let me mention the subject of today's show real quick. Let's take a call. Screw it. It'll take too long. Let's take a call.
Whatever Joe wants. You're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. It's me, Max. I've called in a couple of times. I was the digital marketing guy that let you guys know what sort of the atmosphere was in the United States.
Max, how are you, brother?
What's up, Max?
Dude, I'm doing good. I've been watching the show. I haven't called in for a while. I've been listening since y'all started tonight, and there's a couple of things I wanted to go over. First off, I wanted to give you a little bit of background. I did sell my digital marketing company, so I'm no longer tied to any doctors or any type of NDAs or any type of marketing schemes that we were doing.
Okay.
But I wanted to give you sort of the thank you. Yeah, much less stress, not dealing with these doctors that thought they knew more than me.
Isn't that just some shit? They think they know, like they hire you to do a job, and then they want to tell you how to do the job.
They did. And then finally I was just like, look, I'm not working with you guys anymore. It was just horrible. So found a good company to buy my company, but I'm willing and ready to trash the hair restoration market in the United States because there's been a couple of big factors. Mind you, I still have contacts at Neograft, at Venus with artists. But it's very alarming. Oh yeah, it's very, very, very alarming with what's going on nowadays, what we're seeing. Okay, because mind you, I still get these guys that are selling the devices. Mind you, I worked with they were called Restoration Robotics back in the day. They sold the Venus, and now they have the Artas robot and the Neograft. Big fan of the Neograft.
Well, you say back in the day it was only like what 3 years ago they sold.
No. It's been a while. It's been Restoration Robotics sold to Venus probably 8 years ago.
1920? No, 19 or 20. It was before COVID. Or it was right
7 years
COVID.
ago.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the talk is they're selling again, but I can't talk about that. So, with that being said...
they already did. Didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they already did. They Venus let go of their of the artists for pennies on the dollar.
They did to the new Korean company. Okay, so y'all are privy to that as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't know if that was still insider information, whatever it may be. So,
no, man, we're plugged in.
But here,
get it?
Good for you guys. So, and I figured you would be. So here.
And by the way, I want to hear this. This is really important. I just want to put this out there so you have the context. 2015 and 2016, I consulted for Restoration Robotics. You may know the story.
I remember.
But I ended up after they brought in a new CEO who wanted me to market for them. I was just like, look, this is how is this going to work? And this was the guy that was a marketing guy for Da Vinci, and who said in court, to my recollection, that they were trying to sell the Da Vinci robot to the low-hanging fruit of physicians who were not really skilled at laparoscopic surgery. I don't know if you know anything about that, but the whole thing, in my view, is just, it's so sad and repugnant. But go ahead.
It's dirty. It's dirty. I know exactly who you're talking about. I don't know if you want me to drop names. I won't.
No, there's no reason to.
I know that we're live. Exactly. But no, you and I are on the same page. And so back around COVID, there's actually three things I want to talk about. First, since we're talking about artists, we're talking about Venus, but I have no more connection with them at all. No more contracts or anything. They have they're essentially, I marketed the first Venus IX. Okay, so there was the 7X, the 8X, the 9X, and then we had the IX, right? I was given the opportunity to market the first IX in Los Angeles. Real prick of a doctor. Not going to drop his name. Real prick. Just put it that way.
Was it Dr. Mohibi?
No. Can I say his name?
Say whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Dr. Malamed. Dr. Malamed out of Los Angeles. Real prick of a guy. Tried to make it go. Wanted to give the machine back. And we bent over backwards for this guy. Absolutely bent over backwards. But the problem that he was facing, there's a lot of very, very, very good doctors, good hair doctors that have been doing it for 20-plus years. He tried to jump in, and the reason he thought he was able to jump in is because he had this brand-new robotic device, right?
Was he a plastic surgeon?
No, I think he was a derm, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Just a dermatologist. That's what he was. Had a decent practice, but the guy was an asshole. I mean, the guy was he was mean to me. I saw and heard how he talked to his wife. It was just rough. I don't want to get into that, but they tried it for a couple of years. It didn't work out. I don't know if the guy is still in business. I don't know if he has the artist device, but anyway, that was the point. That was the starting point for me, at least. Where I saw Venus Concepts at that point try to sell as many of these artist devices as they possibly could. And when I say possibly could, I've seen doctors' practices pay $600,000 now all the way down to $200,000, including a neograft. Okay, just wild, just absolutely wild. But now that shtick is over.
Are you friends with Joey?
Joey Brown, I know we're on YouTube. I hate that man. I don't hate a lot of people I hate nobody in my personal life, but business. If you tell me that Chippendale's dancer is going to get up there with his weird ass voice and try and hawk a hair restoration device machine, I'm going to tell you to run out of that building as fast as you can, because there's no good that can come of it. So
I just want to take a moment to express that the opinions expressed on The Bald Truth with Joe Tillman and Spencer Kobren are not the opinions necessarily of the host, but are solely the opinions of the guests that are calling in. Also, if you like this segment, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, now's the time. Back to you.
I will tell you one thing before you finish your story, brother. So I had him here when he was working for SmartGraft, and they had contacted.
This is your conscience.
Back in the garage. Yeah.
They had contacted me and said, whatever. Do I know Joey? And yeah, absolutely. So, and I think this was after he had already left Artas with Restoration Robotic, and I guess he went back to Venus, but. Anyway, brought him in. I thought we had a really nice conversation. It was fine, and I put the videos up, and I guess I wrote something about, is the smart graft really a smart option? But it was just a question, and then I wrote something really nice about the conversation that I had, and he thought that I put out a hit piece on him. And I was shocked. I was like, what are you talking about, bro? This is insane.
So do I.
And you do remember it. So what's interesting is he wanted to go out afterwards, and I basically don't drink anymore, and I had an empty stomach. So I had a couple of drinks. Pretty sure I blacked out, but I think we had a good time. So, and what's interesting is, I don't usually share this, but I worked at not the same club he worked at, but at the same company he worked at when I was a kid. I was not a dancer. I was like weren't
you a bouncer?
No, I wasn't a bouncer. Bouncer, that's a good one. So he's telling the story. No, I was a topless. This is the best part of the job. I was a busboy. I did waitering for a while, but the best job there in New York City was I was a kid, a topless coat check guy. Let me tell you something. These girls, when they got their coats back after they saw this show, and they were so loaded, they would give me like $15 tips. They wanted to take pictures.
Beautiful.
I was like a skinny little kid. I just happened to have abs and some muscles. I mean, Joe saw me when I was young. It was maybe I was 100. Pictures. It was 160 pounds. You know.
I just like to say that if anyone out there listening has copies of pictures from the 1980s when Spencer was a coat check boy at a male dancing routine, I'll give you $5,000 for it.
Okay, I have about 5 of them. So anyway, so you heard. So anyway, I think I blacked out. I'm pretty sure I blacked out. But he called me the next day, and he was saying how it was great. He was really enthusiastic about, he was inspired by the conversation we had. And he was talking about doing something entrepreneurial. I tried to give him some help.
He called you the next morning and said, "Hey, I decided to take you up on the deal that you offered me last night. Great idea." And you're like, "What?"
I don't know how I somehow got a concussion. Just saying, but I will say that I thought I had
trouble sitting down.
I thought I had a nice time with him. Like, it was kind of fun, from what I can remember. I definitely blacked out. But a week later, the guy hated my guts.
I'll be the guy who's been working with him for the last, or working not with him but with his team for the last 6 or 7 years. The guy's a fucking tool. He's an absolute tool, and I don't mind that out there now that I have no more connections or anything as well. I mean, the guy is an absolute tool. If you hear him speak, run, because he sounds like a used car salesman. It's horrible. Anyway, let's get back to Artas.
Yeah.
The actual Artas device. So what's happening now? I saw back in 2025, summer of 2025, let's say May, June, July, that the robot sales were absolutely slowing down to a halt. And mind you, they give these guys quotas, right? And because I was running the reports for these doctors, and to help sort of fuel the sale, I would actually get on the phone with these doctors and tell them, hey, look, there's so many people searching your area. Here's what your competition's doing, so on and so forth, right? So with that being said, come 2026, I'm getting no more referrals from this company. I am getting nothing from this company. And so I call a higher up, a guy that's basically maybe a step or two under Joey Brown, and I say, hey, what's going on? Why aren't y'all selling anything? Well, the gig's up. They know they sold a very expensive robot that can't do half of what it says it's going to do. It continually breaks down. Excuse me, they have a warranty, a $25,000 a year warranty that they have to renew every year. Their main lead techs have all left. It's a sinking ship. Well, the doctors finally realized this. And so now what happens? So before I move on, any questions about Artas, because this is the main reason why I'm calling into the show, is to let not only you guys but your listeners know of the pitfall of where we're at in 2026.
Well, I can probably tell you some stuff about the procedure itself and how it's being performed that you may or may not know, and we can talk about that later. But I have no questions about the business. But I think this is intriguing. I think it's important for people to hear this, because there are people tomorrow who are going to be sitting down. Now, I want to give a preface this by saying there is one physician that I know currently in the country.
Alexander?
Maybe two, but
or 3.
Okay.
Well, no, is
4?
Is there 4?
Yeah, Nussbaum knows
how to
Anderson.
use it. Anderson's not using it anymore.
Anderson, Ken?
Oh, he's not using it. Okay.
No, Anderson hasn't been using. No, hasn't been using it for a while.
Alexander, and then Scott Bowden.
Is he still using it, Scott?
Yes, he is. I know he is for a fact.
Okay, so these are good guys who know how to utilize this, and they're not having their techs put the largest punches in there. The result, when you look at a guy like Nussbaum's results when he uses the Artas compared to anybody else, it's insane. And you've probably seen this yourself.
Yeah, I even had a video on the results where at the end I revealed that all the results I showed were Artas results. Yeah. There's zero indications.
But I will say, in general, Max, it's Max, right? Sorry if I got the name wrong. It's Max.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Max.
I will say, in general, the vast majority of almost all of the patients that are having Artas hair restoration performed on them, the physicians and the technicians are doing them a tremendous disservice.
Yeah.
Well, which leads to something else that there was a previous caller or a previous sort of segment on on this actual show where y'all were talking about side hustles, and you got to understand from the hundreds of clients, because mind you, if there was an artist or a neograph sold in the United States, I had a 95% chance of getting their marketing. I was the guy. We did a very, very good job at marketing hair transplants. And we did all the tricks and the gimmicks that you talked about. And I will call them tricks and gimmicks. We were actually one of the first ones
such as having the same gallery patients across 17 different hair transplant clinics.
And they're all Jim Harris's patients.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they were, and then actually speaking of that, because in the beginning when I was using those images, those stock images, let's call them stock images, right?
Yeah.
Stock images worked from other doctors. We actually had to credit them. We had to credit them in the disclaimer, not the work of the doctor, but work of the neograph, work of the artist, work of this doctor. That actually stopped, where we didn't need to actually present the doctor anymore saying this was his work, right? Because they owned an artist or they owned a neograph. So we didn't actually have to show or name the doctor, but what the legality was. It was a neograph doing the work, or was an artist device doing the work.
Yeah.
And so that's why we actually didn't have to cite the doctor anymore.
I find
the
it
robot
interesting
itself
that,
was the doctor, quote unquote.
But I do find it interesting that their lawyers took the time to ensure that there was some sort of a legal loophole so that they can deceive consumers.
Yeah.
Now I can't speak upon that, but all I knew was that when I was designing a new either landing page or website or microsite for these new clients, I no longer needed to cite the doctor of doing the work. And I thought that was grimy. I thought that was a little slimy, right? But going back to the main point, somebody brought up side hustle. And from the hundreds of doctors that I work with, 95% of them, this was a side hustle for them. They got wined and dined by the Venus sales guys. They bought this couple $100,000 machine. They got it delivered. There was a lot of some of the sales I had to actually help close. It was ridiculous. But they would wine and dine them, but it was all a side hustle. And I knew better, and I knew it. And then let's fast forward 5-6 years. You know, I told guys, I can't take any more New York City clients. I can't take any more clients in the entire state of Florida. I can't take any more in Dallas. I can't take any more in Los Angeles. They flooded those markets. And once you flood a market like that, what does it become? It becomes a price war.
Sure.
You know, price per graft. And then they stopped price per graft, and they started doing small, medium, large packages. But that's all changed, because now we're talking 3-4 years ago. So now we segued into where we're at March 2026. Doctors are no longer buying the devices. Do you know what they're doing? They're hiring these some very experienced hair techs that have a little bit of money, and they have their own devices that they are bringing in to these offices.
Yeah.
So the doctor's office or practice has sold the hair transplant. They are scheduling these hair techs to come in with their own devices. And Spencer, I don't even know if the damn doctor's in the office or the building when they're performing these hair transplants.
I can tell you that that is now the vast majority of the U.S. market.
Yes, correct. You're absolutely correct. And I became privy to that about a month ago when a lot of doctors were calling me. Mind you, Turkey, and I'm going to bring up Turkey as one of my last facts because I want the other callers to get in.
This is a great call. Take your time, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, well, thank you very much. Like I said, I've had my finger on the pulse of the hair transplant market in the United States and Canada for many, almost a decade now.
And I want to ask you a question, Max. At some point, I mean, maybe you could reach out to me. I would love to. I'm putting up a YouTube channel, and I would love to. If you, I mean, you could say anonymous if you want, whatever you want. You know, I mean, you don't have to have your face out there, but I would love to talk about this in detail on kind of like a full-length video.
Oh, no, I would absolutely do that, and I would absolutely lose my face out there as a big fuck you to Joey Brown, because I will talk nothing but shit about him, and I will talk nothing shit about his company, because NeoGraft was a great name. It was a very, very great name that they destroyed. But here's the problem. I've worked with the hair doctors. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking the hair doctors. Dr. Alexander, dear friend, excellent client of mine for a long time.
He's a good person.
Got burnt out. He's a little crusty, but you know what? But he is a good person. He's a good family man. I know he goes on vacation like once a year.
Are you the guy that works with specs? I just realized.
Yes, that is me. Yep.
I just put Jesus. Okay, now I realize who you are. Okay.
I love the other Spencer. So with that, but Spencer told me not to mention his name on the show. So anyway, but yeah, no, I like I said, I've been in the game for a very long time. I know all the big players, I know all the big companies, I know the big doctors, and I know all the shitty doctors. And like I said, at the end of the day, back in 2020, 2019, it became a sales game. And the other thing is, and Kobren, you said you may turn some people off by saying this, but people are stupid, and people are stupid. These doctors, these people that are signing up with them, I really wish they could find the Ken Andersons. I really wish they could find the Scott Alexanders. I really wish they could find the Nussbaums. I really wish they could find those people, because you're doing yourself a disservice by going to anybody else. And if you're trying to save on price, stop it. It's like going to Mexico for a butt implant or for teeth or whatever it may be. You need to, if you're really looking for a hair transplant, go to one of these good doctors. But here's the beautiful part about that. Because, and this is where I'll sort of wrap in. I'm sorry. There was one more thing about the FDA and compounding and compounding minoxidil or minoxidil, whatever it may be. Everybody's doing it. The FDA can't keep they don't have enough staff to figure out what people are doing and and where they're selling it and how they're selling it. If they're making it in their garage,
it is such a mess. And I will say this, that besides the mass hysteria online about adverse side effects, the sheer let's just say post-marketing concerns really started when certain generics came out, and then when things really started to become compounded. So side effects and all these the mood-altering side effects and all that stuff really started to get out there in the ether, I should say, right around the time these drugs started to be compounded. So there's something going on here, man.
Well, no, there's no question, because I've seen it, and I started seeing, because like you guys were talking about, if one doctor's doing it, I have to offer it too, because not only they're offering a hair transplant, and not only are they offering like sessions of PRP, but then you get. I'm sorry about that.
That's another money grab, man. That's ridiculous. But go ahead.
Oh, PRP?
Yeah, it can work if it's the right PRP. But most people don't even know they don't know how to make PRP.
No, they don't have the right equipment in their offices. Yeah. I mean, no, absolutely. Like I said, I've seen the good, bad, and the ugly of everything.
Yeah.
So with that being said, so one guy's offering a hair transplant for a rock bottom price at $2, $3, $4 a graft. You're going to get 2 or 3 or 4 PRP sessions at no cost, and then you're going to get a year's supply of oral minoxidil or spray-on or shampoo or whatever it may be. But it's compounded. But here, the scary thing is what you brought up. The actual side effects of these real medications that can cause sexual dysfunction, whatever whatever it may be, mood swings. It's crazy, and these people are handing them out like candy. But my biggest point is bringing the FDA into the mix of this, is they can't keep their finger or their hand down enough on the millions of doctors that are doing this. And it's insane. It's absolutely insane. But, you call it the Hippocratic Oath. I don't believe in that shit anymore. I've given up on healthcare when I started working on these doctors back in 2017, 2018.
Can you imagine me just trying to get a checkup? It's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, forget about it.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And then are you going to see a doctor or are you going to see a PA? And nowadays, because here in Texas we have such lax laws here insofar as medical, you don't have to see a doctor. You can see a PA, and the PA can actually prescribe you medicine. Fuck you. No way. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. So anyway, the last thing that I want to get into is Turkey. We have had such an influx of leads. Mind you, when I said I sold my company, I'm contractually bound. I have to oversee the sort of day-to-day for about 3 years before I get my actual payout. But we have seen a massive spike in people wanting to go to Turkey, but because of the Iran war, nobody wants to fly over there.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to fly over there. And our lead generation, ever since I think the war's been going on about a week, or since the initial attack, or the initial whatever you want to call it, from the U.S., we've shot up like over 1,200% lead gen because people are no longer looking overseas. And on top of that, here's another little sort of nugget of fact. Those doctors are there. The majority of them have shut down their marketing. No more Google ads. No more ads on. Yep, absolutely. Because they know it's going to hurt their business.
Yeah.
And then as long until this is absolutely either over or whatever the outcome may be, I think we're going to have a good 3, 4, 5 month period, or people are going to start looking to doctors here. And that is why I wanted to call in. That's the main reason why I wanted to call in. Is look, if you can't afford a hair transplant now, fine. But don't go to a run-of-the-mill shop where a tech is going to bring their own equipment. They're going to do their own work. The doctor may or may not see you. It's just not worth it, because I've heard way more horror stories than success stories.
Even if the doctor sees you in these scenarios, it doesn't make a difference. He'll pat you on the head. He'll make believe he's drawing a hairline, or maybe he will. Maybe the tech's taught him what to do. Maybe he went through a course, or he's a member of the ISHRS, which is the trade organization, and he's gone through a conference or two or watched some videos. The reality of what's happening all over the world, but absolutely here in the U.S., it is the walking wounded is staggering. And no one – I mean, I get so much shit on Instagram for telling the truth, because these kids – unfortunately, these kids have, confirmation bias. They want to believe, something that's not true. They just want to believe that, I'm wrong about this, that, that either what they've already gone through or what they're considering is the reality, meaning that they can be helped, that they could spend a small amount of money and get a permanent hair transplant without any complications, and that I'm speaking about the anomalies when I'm talking about all the potential dangers and the F-ups that are happening out there. The anomalies in this market are the good surgeries. Those are the anomalies.
Yeah.
Very well put. The anomalies are the good hair transplants with a good hairline, with correct grafts, the implanting of the grafts. These guys don't know because they're talking to doctors that don't know.
Right. It is the effing blind leading the blind. You should go to these meetings. It is hilarious. Now, the guys that do know stuff, they're not sharing everything because it's dog eat dog. They know that everyone else is their competition now. So it's not even like a medical meeting. It's just a trade show.
Yeah. And that's what I believe it turned into, I mean, and that's the biggest problem, and I'm all about the truth. I don't want these young kids. I mean, dude, there were some doctors that were doing hair full. I'm talking 2,000, 3,000 grafts on a 22, 23, 24-year-old kid. Yeah. What are you doing? Where you want to talk about ethics? Where are your fucking ethics? But
they don't know. Here's the thing. They honestly don't know any better. They are told that this is a simple outpatient procedure. They have no idea that it's such a
It's like a day at the spa.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a difficult, elegant, nuanced procedure. It's one of the hardest forms of cosmetic surgery that exists. I mean, you're dealing with.
To be fair, it is actually like a day at the spa, since a lot of spas are doing hair transplants now.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yeah, but these doctors are sold a bill of goods as well. Like they were sold the artist, all this stuff, and then they realize I've had physicians who have contacted me over the years who had great reputations as plastic surgeons, guys who I knew. And one guy who actually asked me if he should do hair transplant surgery. He was getting involved with a neograft at the time. I said, brother, unless you take this seriously, you have a stellar reputation. You get one guy, one angry guy who feels misled or disfigured, your practice is done. And that's exactly what happened. He did not listen to me. And then he contacted me in a panic because he was on all these, these sites that were, these complaint sites and stuff. He finally worked it out. But, I mean, it was a couple of years of real aggravation for something that all he had to do, and this is a good guy, all he had to do is be willing to learn himself and be a part of the surgery and not buy the crap that not you guys, but the guys that you knew were selling them.
Correct. It was a sale. It was typically a cash procedure because I never found anybody that can get more than a couple of grand insofar as financing.
Yeah.
But it was a cash procedure. They were sold like you don't actually have to do the surgery. We have these techs we can supply to you, and you can be in the room, performing a BBL or a breast augmentation or whatever it may be. Very appealing to them.
Of course.
Very appealing to them. I understand. I mean, I understand the day and age that we live in, and these doctors, and a lot of them were young, and a lot of these doctors that I worked with had no surgical experience. They were typically ER doctors or ENTs, guys that had no business doing actual hair transplants. But like I said, I found the ones, and people always ask me, if you would suggest, where would you go? I'm down here in Texas, and I always told everybody, if you want a legitimate hair transplant, take the trip out to Phoenix, go to Alexander. He'll do a very, very good job. If you don't want to go to Arizona, go down to Florida. You can find a bunch of really good guys. Guys have been doing Nussbaum, for example. You could find a lot of good guys. But if you feel like you're being sold, get out of there. Get out of there, because now it's a sales game, because everybody's doing it. It's in every practice. It's in every med spa, or it's in a lot of med spas. You don't know how many med spas that were sold neografts. It's insane. It's absolutely insane, because NeoGraft was sold back in the day before Venus bought them. Mind you, they were our number one competitor against Artas, the actual Artas robot. But now NeoGraft, they sell it. You don't need to do anything. We'll give you a tech list. Yeah. And these techs will do all the work for you. It's disgusting.
That's how it's worked for quite a long time. That's just the reality of this industry. I have been really, in 2008, NeoGraft was starting to really, take some ground.
Gain traction.
And they gained traction. And I remember that the president of the ISHRS at the time, the trade organization, he heard me doing a program with Alan Bauman about the dangers of NeoGraft. And it wasn't the machine. The machine was fine. But the fact that these were tech-driven models, it was being taken out of the physician's hand, that techs were performing the entire procedure. A lot of times doctors were just buying the device and they're not even involved. These high school graduates, some of these techs are incredible, by the way. They do great work.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
But these are not medical professionals who are performing surgery on patients. So the ISHRS president at the time asked me my thoughts. He was listening to a live program when we were giving a NeoGraft warning. And I told him, listen, again, basically I'm a checklist of what needs to be done in order to somehow educate consumers and the physicians out there and to kind of stop this in its tracks, not stop NeoGraft. It was a fine device, but just the way that, it's being sold and the fact that consumers are being misled. This guy comes back to me and said, after I gave him everything they needed to know to make this change, he said, well, I spoke to the board of governors of the ISHRS and the business people, and they're all concerned about being sued. So we're not going to do anything, but keep doing what you're doing, Spencer. You're doing a great job. I'm like, go fuck yourself, man.
No, I mean, and that's why I watch your show, even though I'm not part of it anymore. It's ingrained in my life. Like I said, I did this for almost a decade of my life. But there's guys out there like you, and and the show, and I'm going to drop his name, but Specs, that legitimately care, that try to get these guys that are honestly interested in hair transplant on the right track, because there's so much shit out there that I've personally built. And now that I'm out of it, I mean, the gloves are off, if you may. And I'm not proud of it.
It's a good feeling, isn't it? It's a good feeling, isn't it?
I actually feel a little lighter just saying that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm listening to you, and it reminds me of when I left, when I finished my time working in clinics, and I was able to step out and become independent. It took me a long time to get out of that bubble mindset, but man, what a weight off the shoulders to not have the pressure of influence in how you do things.
Brother, I was just asked by a physician, and all the time, but I'll just say that.
Well, good for you.
Let me just say this.
Thank you.
In my job and what I do, and by the way, Joe's right. I mean, congratulations. I mean, it's really to be able to get to this position it's freeing. But I've always kind of been there. I tell the doctors that are part of the IHRS, if anyone asks me about ROI when they apply, or even if they're part of the organization, they're not going to be they're not going to be on the organization, and I will remove them from the organization. Now, in the last year and a half, I did a little bit of a dialysis of the organization, not necessarily based on anyone asking about ROI, or one guy recently did, but not asking about ROI. And when I say ROI, they basically just want more promotion. They want to do different things with us, or they want me to be, they asked me to be like, they have their marketing guy call, and they want me to be like the face of something on a commercial on social media. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's not what I do. I don't sell surgery. But I recently did a quasi-dialysis of the IHRS. And we brought it from about 70 doctors to maybe about 50 not too long ago. It took a few months. We're regrouping. We're actually going to be expanding soon. I have a lot of applications. But I decided to do that before we brought new guys on to clean house. And it was all based on questionable marketing, a couple of complaints, but nothing serious, haven't had any real serious complaints in a long time. But it was more about these guys who now feel the pressure to compete with the turnkey operations that you're talking about, with Turkey. They're doing price shopping, price comparisons. They're selling PRP packages.
Yeah, the packages.
And all that stuff. And I would tell them this, and I'm like, look, I got to remove you from the organization. This is definitely going against, what we preach. This is going against the standards of the organization. And they're kind of like, well, we have to do this. I'm like, you don't have to do this. Leverage your position as part of the organization. Distinguish yourself and don't try to, get into the trenches with these guys and compete on price and bullshit. So, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was my conclusion, because and that's how I was going to wrap up this entire conversation. Is if you have a legitimate doctor, that's part of the IHRS, they've been vetted.
You mean the IAHRS, not the I. The ISHRS is the trade organization. The IAHRS.
Oh, I apologize.
That's all right.
Yes. The main one that I'm talking. Yeah, yes, that one. Make sure they're part of that organization. And don't look anywhere else, because they've been vetted. You know what I'm saying? They've been doing this a long time. Yes, they may be more expensive, but look what you're doing. Look,
the organization. I founded the organization 25 years ago. Do you think it would last this long if it wasn't benefiting people? That's right. That's the reality of it, and the fact that it's not just a pay per play, dude. I was talking to Joe about this. You sell these things, or you know how these things go. A single punch for, say, a WAS system or a Cole system, or they run between $110 and maybe $130 to $160 for a single punch. We try to keep our dues basically the cost of half a punch a day. I mean, it's nothing. We never want this to be a barrier to entry to any physician that deserves to be a part of it. That's how inexpensive it is. So any doctor that says it's what I do is pay per play or whatever, they only say that, or consumer or so-called competitors. They only say that because they can't be a part of what we do. Anyone who actually sees the pricing is be like, this is ridiculous. Kobren could charge $10,000 a month if he wanted to in this market.
Of course.
Yeah.
No question. No question. Because, like I said, I just wish your organization can grow bigger to where there's more outreach to where these guys can understand that there is, like you said, it's an anomaly for a good hair transplant these days in 2026.
Well, that is going to happen this year. By 2027, you're going to see something significant happening.
Well, and the other good news, just to back this up, because now my wife's bitching at me because I got to go to dinner.
That's all right.
But just the good news to back this up, and in conclusion of what we've talked about, these guys are dropping like flies. There are class action lawsuits against Venus because of the Artas robot. There are class action lawsuits against Neograft because of the sales tactics and the sales procedures that they've done. These doctors are looking to get rid of these devices. They're no longer going to look into the hair transplant marketing or segment of their business by any means. So now, over the next 3 years, mark my words, you're going to see hundreds of these practices fall off. Just because of the fact that they tried it, they have wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars in not only machine purchases or equipment purchases, but the marketing. So there's actually a very good outlook for your doctors and for your network based on. The other big thing is too, they're not selling shit. They're not selling anything. There's going to be a company takeover.
Dude, these guys who have the machines, they're not going to be able to have maintenance soon.
Oh, maintenance, God only knows what's going to go on with those guys.
Yeah.
Why do you think I mentioned the class action lawsuits?
And continue
They know this. They see the
consumables.
reading on the wall.
The consumables themselves are going to dry up.
And guess what? Now that you don't have the consumables because it was based on a consumable based market.
Of course.
Good luck.
That's the only way to really survive is you can only sell so many robots. The money is in the consumables after the fact.
They used to charge by the punch.
Yeah.
Back in restoration robotic days.
Well, now they charge by kits. You got a small, medium, large. You get a small and large kit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know what the price is anymore. But that's what they want these guys buying and these guys selling.
Dude, I remember there was an engineer. I'm not going to mention who it was, but at the time when I was consulting for the company, they were talking about doing demos in doctors' offices, and then I find out they don't have a doctor doing demos. They have I'm not even going to say who, but someone who just works for the company doing demos, performing, or I shouldn't say performing surgery, but maneuvering the robot to perform surgery on a human being.
It was their sales techs, or it was their sales with their lead tech at the time. You know the names.
Yeah.
I guarantee you know the names.
So tell me again, why don't you like Joey?
I tell you what, here's what I can do. Here's what I'm going to do. I can send you an email that I sent to him and his entire team that completely, at the time I was very hot. They brought on a digital marketer that was an absolute fraud. Really, really encroached on my territory. Mind you, because Artas, Neograft, Venus was mine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this guy weaseled his way in by sweet talking, whatever. I had 6-7 at the time. I had 6-7 years experience working with these guys. Joey Brown ate it up, hook, line, and sinker. So I sent Joey Brown this email. I don't want to talk about it now, but I sent him this email.
You can talk about it now.
And I called him out.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Yeah, absolutely then. All right, good. I sent him this email, and I called him a fucking liar and a backstabber, and I said, listen, you lied to me once, okay. You lied to me again, because I told him, I said, I'm not going to work with you or your organization, because I was doing stuff for Venus Incorporated, like running sales reports and research reports, not charging $1 for this. Just doing my due diligence, right? Or not only due diligence, but continue to feed me business, and you'll get the perks of me and my guys that work for me, right?
You're showing good faith.
And
Yeah.
I was, absolutely. And it was all in good faith, absolutely. And so I sent him a scathing email once he brought this marketer on, and I said, look, if you go through, because they were going to have him on a podcast or one of their sales calls or whatever one of their calls were called, and I said, if you go through with this, I'm done with you. I am absolutely done with you. And then at the end, I said, you're an absolute liar. You have a horrible reputation. Please, with me, don't live up to that reputation. And my God, that pissed off him so bad because he doesn't get called out, because everybody kisses his ass, because he's always been in higher ups. From as long as I've known him, he's always been like a higher up, and people just sort of, he's everybody's boss, if you may, in the hair industry, in these companies. He's not coming in as a peon, is my point.
Well, what's funny is that I don't think the guy makes much money. I mean,
I don't.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah.
No, he does not. No, he does not.
I remember when I got my consulting deal, there was some sort of there were some words said. I can't remember exactly what, but kind of like I'm the highest paid person in the company or some shit like that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a consultant. I'm not in the company.
I'm not in the company. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. But it was an odd comment. It was kind of like, I don't remember if he said it, to be honest with you. So, Joe, if you're listening, I could be misspeaking here, but it was someone, he was there during that conversation. And I'm like, how poorly do they pay these poor guys? They're working their asses off.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback on that, if you don't mind me, Spencer. Joey Brown, if you're listening to this, Max says, fuck you. I am done with you. I am done with you and your shit-ass company, and you're going to get fired pretty soon. So,
wow. Well, Max, listen, first of all, tell us how you really think about Joey Brown.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not quite sure. So I'm getting the feeling that
you don't like
there's
the guy.
some issue.
Yeah. No, but listen, I would love to talk to you at some point when you're willing. Do you follow me on Instagram by chance?
Man, I'm not. Ever since what I want to do, I've been behind the computer for the last 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
That's what I did: digital marketing, website design, AI stuff like that. I am now. I've got a property development company, so now I'm out in the woods, walking in deep in concrete and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the big reasons why I changed, but that's another night, another conversation.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is that you can contact me through Instagram.
I've got your email address.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I've got you. Yep. Via the guy's name I didn't want to drop earlier.
Okay. Well, yeah. So don't put it out there for public consumption. Yeah.
Don't
great.
worry. No. Yeah. No. We've actually been on the same email threads a couple of times. I'll email you. I would love to come on your show.
Yeah.
And like I said, talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I've been part of this industry, specifically in the United States, for almost a decade, and I've seen it change. I know where it's going, but like I said, just once again, in conclusion, it's looking good for you guys. And it's looking good for your doctors, because a lot of these pieces of shit, a lot of these wannabes, a lot of these doctors that are doing the side hustle, they're falling out. Oh, I don't have a filter, and I've had a few drinks. So with that being said, these guys are going to be falling off. So there's going to be a wide open path for you, for your organization, for what you guys are doing.
But what is poor Joey going to do with his life? I'm sure he doesn't have much of a retirement.
Man, if he keeps his dick out of the interns, and if he can slow down a little bit, hopefully he won't be in prison. But I don't really care. I don't really care. I mean, his weird. I don't know. Maybe he'll go sell used cars in Miami or something.
No, I just want to put it out there. Honestly, I never had on a personal level, I never had an issue with the guy. For some crazy, bizarre, paranoid reason, he developed one against me because he thought I was somehow, like I put out a hit piece on him. I'm looking at the video, and I'm like, how does he think this is a hit piece? The
guy's a nut. The guy's a nut.
It wasn't like edited in any way. It was just like
There's a lot of paranoia in this industry.
These were his words. He sat here in my studio. It was kind of funny because he
Yeah,
thought
no.
that I didn't get his good side on the video. I'm like, well, you should have told me what your good side is. How do I know?
Yeah, yeah, you weirdo, you weird fucko. Joey Brown is one of the weirdest people Jesus ever created. And
I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Why did Specs not want you to mention that you know each other or mention his name on the show?
Well, we have a business relationship, number one.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too far in it because I love the guy. I've known him. At first, he was my enemy. At first, back when I first started Patient Drive, 2016, 2017, I was introduced to him as an enemy because he didn't like the Artas device. And then, the age-old adage of, you keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies closer. I kept him close. And then I found out he was a great guy, and I continued to help him, insofar as different digital assets and things like that and different ventures. Him and I have got a lot in common insofar as crypto and stuff like that.
I actually think he had to walk me home once too. Anyway, go ahead.
What?
No. Like I said, a genuine individual, but the way he was introduced to me was not as a genuine individual. He was introduced to me as a snake, and he's going to bad talk our company.
But people are assholes. Just
people say anything.
You figure it out yourself. That's what you have to do.
Oh no, absolutely. And the people that ended up telling me about him. They ended up trying stealing clients from me, all kinds of weird stuff. So it turned out those guys that were telling you about Spencer, those were the snakes. Snakes.
That's the way it usually is.
And I exactly. And I haven't spoken to those people in a very, very long time. But I was emailing with emailing with Spencer this morning. But like I said, just a great guy, genuine guy. He genuinely has a lookout for guys that are looking to get legitimate hair transplants. He's on the same path as Joe and Spencer.
Look, we have been. I met him for the first time. He came to my house in 2012 with Joseph.
Yes.
And ever since then, we started to do the Bald Truth UK. We started to work together more closely.
Yep.
It's just to me, it was always like all for one and one for all. If we have the same message and we're on the same page, and we all kind of operate slightly differently, but there's no reason why everyone can't try to, get the message out to the consumer together.
Yeah.
Why not combine forces if you can?
Absolutely. And the thing is, once I heard that Spencer Kobren and Joe Tillman and Spencer were the devil of this industry, I was like, okay, what's going on? Because
they mentioned me too.
Very well liked.
Ooh.
There's a couple of guys, Joe. You are sort of like a godfather, if you may. Spencer, you are as well, but Joe, you're also there as well. And there are some people that over at Artas or over at Venus that don't. I don't want to say they talk shit, but they don't put you in the greatest light, if you may.
Oh, really? That's so surprising.
Yeah. Is it really?
I was hoping they talk shit about us.
I'm fucking with you. Of course. Listen, there's a woman over there. I forget her name. I was at the conference in Los Angeles.
What year?
I think 2018. I think I was drunk there too. Gee, am I an alcoholic, Joe? What's going on here?
You're okay.
No, but and she
asked like it's a bad thing.
She had said to me something. She's at the bar and she's saying, I don't understand why you're so anti-hair transplant. And I said, I'm not anti-hair transplant. I am anti-bad hair transplant. And I'm here to tell what I do is I tell the truth and I give people the information they need to make informed decisions. I'm not here to sell hair transplants. And then she said something else to me. And then there was some heavyset gay dude who was like, I don't know if did he work for us? Maybe you know him. He was like totally hitting on me. Like he was really drunk. And it was interesting. It was definitely an interesting conversation. But yeah, was it 2018 or 2009? Maybe 2018. I think they were here in Los Angeles. So she may be one of them. And some other people probably dislike me because I'm out there telling the truth. Yeah, that's how I feel.
And the truth gets people in trouble. But at the end of the day, I mean, look at the world that we live in. And you need to find the guys that are telling the truth, and that's why I like you guys so much, and that's why I continue to pay attention to your show and follow. Just because, like I said, I've been on the other side of that, and I wasn't on the right side of right, if you know what I mean. But now that it's off of me, I can talk all the shit that I want.
Well, Joe's curious. What kind of things did they say, just for fun?
Yeah.
There is a specific sales guy. I don't know if he's at Artas anymore, but he was the one that specifically had a problem with Joe. So Joe, I'm talking about you here, and he had a specific problem with and typically these guys, once again, the majority of people in this world that you meet, they're fucking stupid.
Oh yeah.
And they're only getting dumber. And so I don't know if he inherited this opinion about you or formulated it on his own. But they were just completely against you, and I don't know. And I apologize because it's been a couple of years since I've heard this, but that's how I knew you were on my radar, or that's why you were on my radar. And I don't know if it was specifically because of the fact that you had a problem with an Artas device, or if you had a problem with the actual NeoGraft, or if you had a problem with somebody actually at the company. But I knew that if your name was, it's almost like we couldn't mention it.
But what were they saying? That's what I want to know. Like, what was
all you need to know is that you couldn't mention Tillman's name in their presence.
And that was it. And see, and Spencer hit the nail on the head. I remember I told you I apologize. I can't because it was years ago. And because I knew I couldn't bring up these names, I didn't. I stopped.
I mean, if they could,
so basically, my name would trigger someone.
Yeah,
that's why I couldn't be.
If you couldn't mention Tillman's name, they must have had some sort of a picture of me in a room with some sort of like weird candles around it or something.
With the guy that. Because I remember specifically the guy that told me about you and your name and everything. If I had to guess, he probably inherited his opinion about you from Joey Brown, because Joey Brown's his boss and has been his boss for a very long time.
Interesting.
You know, I'm thinking about why someone from why someone from NeoGraft would be upset with me is because I used to argue till I was blue in the face about the dangers of desiccation with the NeoGraft suction component, and because they were the first ones to come out with that suction component, and I used to be on the forums talking about how it was a terrible idea. The graft is dead before it even lands in the collection dish, and
the cooling area,
Yeah, exactly. And I probably caused some damage to the reputation overall, because I was so adamant about it. But you know, the thing is
what did I do?
It's funny. I had a talk with Alan Bauman years ago. He called me up. I think he got my number from Spencer, and he called me up and he said, you know, I use the NeoGraft, but I actually disabled that suction.
Yeah.
He said, I disabled it because as they got the best hand tool in the business. He says it feels so good, and I use my own punches. And he said NeoGraft used to give me a hard time about it because I wasn't using it to spec. But I told them that my way was better, and they left me alone. But yeah, and then after that, I actually started saying that if you know how to use the NeoGraft, because then they started adding wet suction, where they were recirculating the saline in the suction system, so that would deal with the desiccation. But like I got doctors that use NeoGraft and they have great results because they know how to use it. Just like with the robot, you know, like Aaron Nussbaum uses the robot sometimes, and he's an expert with it. Like his results are fantastic.
This is how I feel about things. If people in this industry if they're not talking shit about me, I have not done my job.
Yeah.
I agree, and that's the thing, and I think that's a very good way of looking at it. Is because what are you guys? You are truth tellers in this industry.
Right.
You're no fluff. You're no bullshit. The biggest thing is you're looking out for the consumer. You're looking out for the how many guys you got watching right now. You're looking out for the 52 guys you got watching.
Right.
You know, or the people that y'all contact on a daily basis. That's a thing, because what they're selling is a fucking sham. Between the Artas and the NeoGraft nowadays, the NeoGraft, it's a sham. And you're not, and chances are you're not going to get a good end product for what you're paying. And
when they have to include a neograph with every robot just to move product, just to get it out of the way, that's when they started doing that, I was like, oh boy, yeah, they're going down. When they started including a neograph with every artist's purchase.
Yeah, I've seen the sales sheets. I actually had a sales sheet from a doctor that sent me the other day, and this poor guy, he paid $300,000. $200,000 went to the actual artist machine. I've seen back in the day, back in 2020, 2021, I saw guys pay upwards of $600,000 for an artist device. Typically, those were the guys on the West Coast and had a very good salesman. I'm not going to say his name. I think he's still there. But nowadays, $300,000 is the norm. You're going to pay $200,000 for the artist. You're going to pay $50,000 for the neograph device, and then you have $50,000 in incidentals like shipping, the $25,000 warranty, things like that. I mean, down here in Texas, $300,000 may still buy you a decent sized home.
You could pay $10,000 for an incredible little system with relatively inexpensive disposables. Hire the same techs if that's the way they want to go about it.
And you're
in business.
And that's what it shifted to. And that is what it shifted to. So Venus did everybody a favor by, not the guys that actually bought the devices, but everybody else. They did everybody a favor because now they can't sell the damn thing. I'd be lucky to have a neograph come through. But like I said, I've burned some bridges tonight, especially if Joey Brown listens to this program.
Listen, what real bridges are they? And honestly, between me and you and everyone who's listening, I thought Joey Brown and I became blood brothers when I blacked out. I'm totally surprised.
It's a rite of passage.
yeah. There you go. But he is not respected. I mean, that guy, he is not respected. He's a joke. And I mean, I know. Listen, and once he gets fired from Venus, which he will, who God only knows where he's going to end up. Probably some other device company. Probably leading some type of sales team. Because, like I said, he won't. He's put his dues in, but he's got a weird enough voice to where it's just like, "All right, get the hell out of here. You can get whatever you want."
Well, I'll be honest with you, and I understand everything you're saying, and I appreciate you taking the time to call and explain things the way that you have. And I also love the fact that you're willing to come on and do something with me privately. I am launching a new YouTube channel, and we're going to have all this type of content. I think this is going to really help a lot of consumers. But as far as as far as Joey Brown, to me, I have no ill will towards the guy. Honestly, I knew he was talking shit about me and that he felt he was slighted by me, which he wasn't. And I told him if he was, I certainly didn't do that purposely. But, what you're saying seems to be something that rings true with a lot of other people who speak to me about this guy. And I don't know why. I mean, I haven't seen... All I've seen from him is that he somehow went a little nuts on me, and I didn't understand why. And I never really took that to heart. And I know that he talks shit about me, but everyone talks shit about me.
Yeah, you tell the truth.
Yeah. So I have no ill will towards the guy. But
good deal.
Yeah. But listen, brother, Max, thank you so much. Do me a favor if you want. I know you're not spending a lot of time online, but contact me through Instagram at Spencer Kobren, and we could set something up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna write it down. I think I may have to sign up for an Instagram. At Spencer.
Oh, actually, no. You just said you had my email address. You could email me.
I got your email. Yeah. I'll shoot you an email.
Yeah.
And I'd love to help. And like I said, I'm here for you guys. I'm here for the overall message. But no, it's been fun. It's been fun. My wife is thoroughly pissed off now.
You know what? It's been cathartic for you. Let her know that it's helped you.
Yeah. It's
I'll go tell her there are thousands of people listening, and
eventually they will. Eventually there will be.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Joe, you have a great evening. Spencer, you have a great evening. You guys.
You too, Max. Good hearing from you, buddy.
Fight. Absolutely, guys. Y'all have a good evening and a great weekend, okay?
All right, Max. You too. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Be good.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Best call of the year.
That was a great one.
Nice.
I like that.
Hold on. What the hell happened here? this goddamn headset. I like it. It sounds good, but it's like a puzzle.
Yeah, it took me a while to get used to mine. Real quick before we sign off, it's the end of the show, but I want to touch on this the subject of the show. Getting paid for a hair loss trial, $20,000.
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
If you guys can read it yourself. It's over on hairlosscure2020.com.
But do you want the placebo?
It's $20,000.
True.
Why not?
Yeah.
Title of the article: Get paid $20,000 to participate in a hair loss clinical trial. The website covered the renowned Sinclair Dermatology Clinic in Australia that's run by Dr. Rodney Sinclair. Great reputation, does a lot of studies, and that clinic and his studies, along with Dr. Bevan Boyle, who also works out of that clinic, are some of the earliest proponents of oral minoxidil. They did some studies early on and added to the early excitement about the efficacy of that. They've conducted a number of hair loss-related clinical trials in recent years. Their most important ones involve HMI 115, ABS 201, and the sublingual minoxidil and oral minoxidil studies. The Australian-based media has a new video where it's being mentioned that balding men can earn 27,460 Australian dollars, which is about 19,500 US, to participate in a new hair loss-related clinical trial. As a bonus, these injections to fight hair loss might also possibly reverse graying. So you get the color back in your hair as well, which is interesting.
Wait a second.
What?
I'll take that $20,000.
I know, right? Per the video, the trial entails injections to block the prolactin hormone and therefore prevent the prolactin receptor from causing baldness. However, the official government clinical trial page says the following: approximately 4 to 6 single ascending dose 4 doses will be tested, and if safe and well tolerated, approximately 3 to 4 subcutaneous multiple ascending doses will be tested in participants. Subcutaneous above means in that blurb means injections. Yes, we know that. The official government clinical trial page also states that the drug tested is ABS 201, which was mentioned earlier in the article. It is both phase 1 and phase 2 concurrent trials with a 227 person enrollment target. It goes on to say, I would be wary of side effects if I was participating in this trial for an AI developed drug. So apparently ABS 201 was developed by, I don't like to say AI, machine learning. And this is the first one that's going through trials that's not, or that is derived from machine learning, which is interesting. Trial will be run at Sinclair Dermatology and Nucleus Network, both in Melbourne, Australia. On the latter's website, they call it the headline trial. A separate trial participation link calls it the hair trial. On the hair trial page, it mentions the amount to be reimbursed up to 21,800 Australia. It talks about some discrepancies in the amount. But you get two options with this. If you're accepted for the trial, you get four sets of 3 overnight stays for a total of 12 nights at the clinic, or to go to the clinic, at least 20 follow-up visits, and up to $27,000 of reimbursement for your time and commitment. Option 2 is doing 4 dosing visits, at least 18 follow-up visits, and up to $21,800 for your time and commitment. So it goes on with just a few more details about participants, but it's apparently like a real study with human trials. And I say a real study because when you have clinical trials, you're supposed to pay the participants. I've never heard of that before in hair loss trials. You get the treatment, and they're not charged for it, but that's about it. Usually.
I think for this low dose oral minoxidil, they're paying people, but not $20,000.
Yeah, and that's significant. So
they got to get their heads punctured.
Yeah, they got to get cut. But that's the latest in the world of hair loss news.
But I have a feeling you're not going to be able
stuff.
to be already a user of low-dose oral minoxidil or topical minoxidil or potentially
sure.
even a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor.
Yeah, I'm sure you got to be clean.
Yeah, you got to be a virgin baldy.
Virgin baldy, exactly.
Virginbaldies.com. That's
Pure.
That's good.
Purebaldies.com.
Purebaldies.com.
Yeah, you must be unsoiled.
Yeah, that was
Anyway.
that was a good call, and I have to say, I'm honest about it. Since the beginning of my career, people in the industry have talked shit about me, and those are the guys that everyone needs to watch out for.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was kind of joking about being surprised, but yeah, people, like, even when I was a consultant talking truth in the forums, people didn't like me. Competition, of course, were talking shit about me.
But I mean, I've heard some crazy stories about me too. But I'm being honest with you. I still don't have anything against this guy, Joey Brown. I actually felt I had a decent, I got drunk, I blacked out, I had fun. I was shocked that he was upset about the video, but I'm just like, all right, whatever. The guy's sensitive. Then I heard him he was talking shit about me. That still doesn't bother me. I didn't, when I was actually in the same, and he's in my presence, I actually enjoyed it. So I try to look at those moments.
It's the good memories.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right on.
All right, guys. Until next time, this was a lot of fun. And I had to tell you, this new earpiece, I don't have like a small ear, but I think it hurts.
Well, you got multiple
Yeah,
cones,
I'm thinking
right?
like it's supposed to fit in, what is that area that it pushes into?
I don't know, your ear.
Yeah, it feels like, because I do have baby ears, it feels like maybe it hurts, but the sound is really good. All right, guys, listen, until next time. By the way, follow Joe at Joe Tillman Official on Instagram. I am at Spencer Kobren. I just put up a video today. I stepped away for about 8 weeks. Couldn't deal with it. I really couldn't. It's a lot of time, effort, nonsense, but I think it's important. But I put up a video today talking about yesterday being the 31st anniversary of my first Propecia pill popped, or finasteride. I actually think it's the 32nd anniversary. But check it out, comment on it, like it, get it out in the algorithm. It's important people see it. I'm at Spencer Kobren, so follow me. And we have a lot more to come this year. So I'm excited.
And don't forget to like this broadcast too. Hit the like button. Yeah. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber.
Yeah. So until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be